I may have just discovered how to make anything float in DaVinci Resolve in just a couple of minutes. What you're seeing on your screen now is not slow-mo. No. No. It's all editing trickery.
Magic.
And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can do it too. My name's Dan, and you're watching DanVinci. Let's go. So it was a normal day and I logged into YouTube and I started scrolling through some of the latest editing tutorials that there are on the interweb. And I came across this video, how to fake super slow motion with any camera. Now, of course, it intrigued me. And I thought, can I make this in DaVinci Resolve? And I did. So special thanks to this video for the inspiration for my video. I'm going to tell you what you need and require to shoot this effect. On your screen now is what I used to create these shots. Now, obviously, not everyone has a black seamless, a turntable, and really good lighting. You could do this too with just a camera, a fluid head tripod, and a dark space, along with some fairly decent lighting with really anything that you can find. As long as you use the tripod with the fluid head and attach the object to the tripod, you too can create the spinning effect that you're going to see later on in this tutorial. I'm going to be looking at the two main methods that you can approach this effect. The first method uses the magic mask. Now, if you have DaVinci Resolve Studio, then this step is perfect for you. But if not, skip this step following the timestamps in the description to Luma Key effect. If you don't have DaVinci Resolve Studio, you can still do this effect. It will just take a little bit longer. All right then, so the first technique is the magic mask. So the first step that you need to do is click on the clip and go into the color tab. Okay, so we're now in the color tab. Let's go over to the node tree in the top right corner here. Selecting your current node, click Alt-S to create a new corrector node, or you can right click, add node, add corrector. That'll do the same thing. This node is going to have our magic mask applied to it. To apply the magic mask, go down to the bottom right corner here and click on this button here. That is the magic mask. Now at the minute, there's no magic mask applied. That's fine. We need to draw one. Before you apply the magic mask, make sure it's on better, just so that it's running at its best all the time. Making sure this button here is selected, let's draw our magic mask. Let's make sure that we select everything, all the shapes, highlighting everything that really is necessary so that this magic mask understands that this is what we want selected. Let's preview it by clicking this button in the top left corner of your preview window. Loading, come on. There we have it. We've now cut out the dragon. Now, obviously, if we move along the timeline right now, the magic mask hasn't been applied to every single frame. It's only been applied to the first frame. That's fine. All we need to do is click this little button here and click play. And what it will do is track the object through the timeline and remove it from our scene. Okay, so it's finally tracked. Now what we need to do is add the alpha output in the node tree. To do this, just navigate over to the node tree, click anywhere in the node tree, right click and click add alpha output. That'll apply this little blue dot, and then you need to just attach the magic mask node with that blue dot, just like that. That's simple. Now when we go into the edit tab, we have an isolated dragon in a black void all by himself feeling lonely.
And that's exactly what we want.
So if we play this through, there we go. We have a floating dragon. So now that's looking great.
What do we do next, Dan?
So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to render this in place just so that it, well, runs a bit better. To do this, literally right click on your clip, go up to the render in place, and then select a format that, you know, has a transparent layer. I like to do GoPro Cineform, click that, and then just save it wherever you want it to basically save, really. So now that we've rendered this clip, what do we do next? Now, to really sell this effect, you might want to do some clever keyframing with your retime speed, basically speed ramping. If you haven't seen my speed ramping video, it's this one right here. Go and have a look at it. Your first step to speed ramp is to right click on your clip, go up to here and click retime curve. This will open your retime curve settings. Now, I like to use retime speed, so I'm going to click on this arrow here and click retime speed and turn off everything else. So we just have retime speed open. So now that we have retime speed controls open, let's click Control R to open our retime speed change controls so we can just see things a bit better. So now we need to create a keyframe at the point where we want this dragon's rotation to slow down, really selling the effect that it's just sort of been thrown into the air and the footage is slowing down, so it's floating in midair. So let's find a point that we really like. So let's go here and create a keyframe by clicking this dot here. So now that we have our keyframe, click this button here and drag it along. As you can see, the footage is speeding up. By dragging this 300% button here, we can drag this down and give it a bit more leeway so we can just see everything on the timeline. Then click this keyframe here and click in add ease in and ease out. drag these points here to make it a bit smoother, and maybe let's just speed that up a little bit more. Let's make it really, really quick. So now we have a dragon that slows down, that comes in quickly and then slows down. Look at that. Doesn't that look sick, man? Looks so cool. Now what I want you to do is create a new comp by right-clicking on your clip, clicking add new comp, and call this dragon. It doesn't have to be dragon in your use case. It's very unlikely you're gonna have a dragon, but still, in mine, it's a dragon, okay? So jump into Fusion, and now what I want you to do is click this button here. This button here creates a transform node. Now don't worry if you have a custom layout and you don't have the transform node right there. Control space brings up your search bar for your nodes, and just search transform, and it will show up there. Now we need to find the point where the dragon actually slows down in the timeline. So let's scroll along here, and yeah, he slowed down about there on frame 22 in my use case. So let's create a keyframe. So let's do the angle and the center positioning. So now we've created a keyframe at this particular point. Now what we want to do is drag back on our timeline, go right back to the beginning, add a slight bit of rotation. Let's add that and then go back down again all the way so it's out of frame. Now let's jump back by clicking on this button here and bringing the dragon back up to where it was before, and let's add a bit of angle like that, and then let's drag all the way over to the end here and let's move it up a tad like so, and add a tiny bit more of rotation just so that it's still moving in the upwards direction where it was originally thrown and the footage has slowed down. Now in the top right corner here, click on the spline button. This will open basically your graph where you're going to be able to modify these keyframes that you've just created. Clicking on the transform node, we can see our graph here, as you can see, with our 3 keyframes that we've already just created. Let's select the first 2 by highlighting them just like that, and click this button here, the ease in and the ease out button. This will create an ease in and an ease out curve, which will make the animation of these keyframes a lot smoother and more realistic, really selling this floating effect. Click T on your keyboard and it will open these controls here. Hovering over the ease in and the ease out, drag this along like so until you get this kind of massive curve. Now if we click play, we've already got this amazing floating effect. Now let me show you how you can create this effect if you don't have DaVinci Resolve Studio. So as you can see, I've got the dragon and the background has basically been crushed. The blacks are as dark as they possibly can be. First, you want to create a new compound clip, and then jumping into Fusion, you want to search Luma Key. From here, you'll notice your footage goes a bit weird and almost looks dissolved. That's all right. Going into the top right corner in the Inspector tab, we need to make some mild adjustments. Obviously, my footage is slightly different to yours, so it will come out completely different when it comes to adjusting the controls. But there we go, I've managed to cut out our object. But how do we get rid of the bottom of this frame? Obviously it's a white turntable and it's not going to get removed by the Luma key. That's fine, you're going to need to just mask this out, and it's relatively simple. So first you want to create a mask node. So click this button, drag it down, and it'll create a polygon 1 node. From here what we're going to do is select it. We're going to draw a mask that is going to cut out the bottom of the turntable. There we go. So now we need to keyframe it. So just drag along your timeline, maybe to the end, and move the keyframes so they're on the object. Obviously I've sped this up so that you guys don't sit here and die of old age. Alright, but on a serious note, this part of the process is about patience. As you can see, what I'm doing is I'm just moving along the timeline and then just moving the keyframes. Slowly but surely, I'll get there. Okay, so now that you've keyframed your mask, let's attach the polygon 1 to the media in 1. Now obviously the mask has got rid of the dragon, that's fine. Just click on the invert button in the Inspector tab and boom, the dragon will appear. And now we've isolated the dragon without using any features that are required in DaVinci Resolve Studio. Now, if you've skipped to this part of the video because you don't have DaVinci Resolve Studio, go to this time on the video to follow the next steps to create the floating effect. It is truly insane. You know what else is also insane? The amount of subscribers I've gained in 10 videos. I think this is my 11th or 12th. I don't know. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, my name's Dan. You've watched DanVinci. Feel free to subscribe and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.